Happy Monday, everyone. Hope everybody is doing well. Whoever watches this video at any given time, my intentions is for whoever comes across this video for them to receive whatever they need to receive out of it. So when I was growing up or whatever, there's a family member who was a family member of mine. Okay, just say that. Okay, and this family member often had these emotional like bouts or like outbursts or whatever, right? And they were always triggered by this pain that was in them. That's why I said if you don't do whatever you need to do, it's gonna come out sometime or whatever. And this stem from her childhood, right? And so every time something happened and then this triggered it, and then all of this rage and energy towards their mother came out, right? And it's so interesting because it was like a couple of years ago, I was talking about something, and I was just like I told actually a couple of people this. I was like, the things that we normalize as far as the way we grew up and things like that, it's not normal. Like, it was certain things that I thought was normal because it happened so frequently, and I thought it was normal, and it was completely not normal. It completely wasn't healthy. And from my perspective, because I think even as a young person, I had like a really deep understanding of things, right? Because I paid attention and I noticed it, and I, to an extent, I guess people would say, okay, it was being nosy, but it was just me being observant to my environment, right? All this stuff was going on around me. How could you know? So as I got older, I believe that energy became more intense, and that relationship was, to me, like, in hindsight, it was bipolar, right? Because it was these, like I said, these trigger points for this person. And see, the thing about healing is, that's why I said a lot of us put ourselves in this victim mindset, or have put ourselves in this victim mindset by thinking, so many bad things or certain things happened to us and they were really bad. And these people did it or whatever. And this is the thing. The first person I ever heard mention this was Ajna Sarah. And she mentioned how parents go through their own pain. And when we're in those moments of like hurt and pain, we don't consider what our parents endure, because especially if they're making it look good. Because this family member's mother, if you looked at her and you were around her, I mean, you wouldn't got that. I'm not saying that she didn't have, because everybody has some type of toxic ways, right? But it's the level of toxicity that, makes a difference, right? If that makes sense. So until you choose healing, until you choose a different path in your life, you're going to resort to the same thing. And this person had no recollection of healing. And I believe, and I'm just saying this just from my observation of this person, I'm not sure even if this person had healing or knew the concept of healing, that they would have known how to completely surrender and forgive their mother. And as I started getting older, like, I think it was like it happened in 2019, I had this strong, very strong urge of like, with my mother and our relationship, because when I got to a certain age, and I'm just keeping it real with y'all, if it makes you uncomfortable, then, my mom was a bitch to me, okay? And being in that energy of saying like, okay, she's a bitch to me or whatever, it didn't last a long time. It didn't carry like where I was like so bitter and I was so enraged and I was jaded and this and this and that. It didn't really last like years and years and years, because everybody's makeup is different, right? And sometimes the energy of being entitled can make you feel more rageful towards people than you probably should. right? And understanding the depths of what somebody does to have a child, it takes a lot. You have to spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially, everything, psychologically commit to being a parent. And it takes a lot of deep understanding. And see, that's the thing, we're not taught that. Nobody is said, especially back in the day, oh, you need to take care of yourself before, do these things, before you have children. Okay. So, like I said, as I became older, as I became maybe in my teens, not really in my teens, but like my late teens, probably in my 20s and stuff. I think it bothered me more because I lived with this other family member, and this family member was good to me. Now I do understand that everybody's relationship is different. I do get that. I got it then. But this closeness with me and this person triggered. That was another trigger, for them. And because of that, all these triggering points within this person allowing so much, it attracted connections with women that mimic that. You get what I'm saying? Like, where I triggered certain things in people or the relationships weren't healthy. If you don't have a healthy foundation, then everything that comes from that foundation, as birthed from that foundation, is going to be unhealthy. And I used to wonder, like, at certain times when I was younger, man, like, why, like, because I could feel, I might not even know, back then I didn't know how to articulate how I was feeling, but I could feel it. Like, there was not, like, it was so much turmoil and certain connections I had with women, like arguing and dysfunction and, like unauthenticity, like we wasn't being real. We wasn't being like, what I'm saying? Like, and that was, I guess, when I started that trauma bonding, right? The trauma bonding because we connected with similarities in the negative way. You get what I'm saying? My mom from 2000 and let's see, 2011 to 2022, November 26th, when she passed away, my mama lived in a facility. And when she first was admitted to the facility, she was diagnosed with dementia. And then later on, I found out by sneak looking at a like medical record, like that she has schizophrenia. And I think that's when, and I was in my early 30s at that time. I believe that is when the compassion. Now, prior to that, I had started feeling some stuff, but I really feel like that's when I really, like, that energy of heart to heart really started to come together as far as my mom. There was a way I looked at my mom, even in her pain, because this is my mother. This is the person who went through hell. You risk your life to, have a child, when you're in labor. It's and my mother had 4 children, and she had all 4 of us natural. Okay. And we were all 9-pounders and heavier. You get what I'm saying? And I had a sibling who was a double pounder. You get what I'm saying? Like 2 digits pound. And she had all of us. That was a very powerful. You know how powerful and strong you have to be to do that? It's so interesting because I feel like women, and not just Black women, but women in general, are always expected to be. But we aren't taught to nurture. We aren't taught to love ourselves. We're taught to give everything to everyone else. And I feel like after my mother had her 4 children, there was because she was diagnosed with something after her 4th child. And I feel like at some point there was a crack. There was like a mental, emotional, psychological crack. Because as a small child, I don't remember her doing certain things, but as I got older, I certain things started to happen, but there was a crack, there was a breakdown. If you don't address what's in you, it will break you. That's what I feel happened to my mother. And I've shared this with people. She cracked. She broke. If you're hurt and pain stricken over things that have happened in your youth or any time in your life, and then you come into this place where you marry somebody, they got their own pain. We ain't even talk about my dad. He got his own pain. And then you merge together to bring the family. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't beautiful moments, but there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. And I turned it to this. Because of that relationship between me and my mother, it attracted a lot of deceitful energies to come towards me, as far as friends, as far as women because I wanted to be a better friend. I wasn't always a good friend. I had a lot of toxic traits within me. A lot. We talk about a lot of times the relationships with men and the negative impact it has on us and the core of where it has to come from. Because I remember asking, like just pondering, like, why have I always in my life, I was like about 37 at the time, why am I always attracting negative, or really low vibrational relationships with men? I had my father. Just before I understood. My father did in my life, him and my mother were married up until the time my mom passed away. And then I started understanding. Once you say something, once you set the tone, information comes to you, right? I wasn't emotionally supported because my mother and my father were in their own depths of pain, deep. And then I was their eldest child. My mom lost a child before me. I was their oldest child, right? That lived. And so there were a lot of triggering moments and times within I triggered my parents, especially my mother, I feel. I do. Because and having my own daughter, I see how it's almost like the daughter becomes kind of like what the mother, like if this resonates for you, wasn't able to be. Like the free loving energy, the energy of me just wanting to be myself or just speak my mind, and whatever it was that she wasn't able to do as a child or a young person, whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever I tried to be, wherever she, you know what I'm saying, it triggered her. So these other family members in myself triggered so much pain in my mother to where she gave her power away and said, you know what I'm saying, and blamed everything, as opposed to pulling her power in. It's about reining your power in and doing the necessary things it is. That's why I take healing so incredibly serious. That's why I post videos. That's why I talk. That's why I do readings. I'm not just doing readings. Just to give you guys your current information. I want you to delve into the depths of who you are and to clear all of that, misalignment, all of that generational conditioning and curses that's embedded in this, because it should be so deep. That's why we got to go through so many levels of karmic clearing, of shadow work, of dark night of the soul, because the stuff be embedded in us. Especially for the ones who have lived several lifetimes. And so every time we came back, we have that baggage from the last lifetime and then the stuff we're dealing with currently. It's important that you make a conscious decision to want to clear and cleanse. It's not just knowing what this twin flame is doing or soulmate is up to, or if this person's in my energy. A lot of those messages that when I'm talking, it be just you. Those messages, those readings that I do, it is 1,000,000% about you. Yeah, I might say certain things because it could be another person whose messages, how they're receiving it is, different from yours. But some of you guys, those messages are 1,000,000% for you and got nothing to do with no other person. And that's what you have to understand. I had to understand that. I started watching tarot or looking into tarot more because of a person I was dating. And that became the catalyst. But that person I was dating came from the fact that my marriage, I couldn't give to her no more because of what I was going through, the deceit behind that. You get what I'm saying? All led back to me because I'm attracting people that I got to watch readings behind. If you got to watch a reading behind a person, come on now. Your intuition always drives you and leads you before you know, because that's why a lot of times you watch these readings and all they do is clarify the knowledge and the information and the feelings and intuitive nature, you know what I'm saying, feelings inside of you. I just wanted to make this video to share this with you guys, and I hope that you understand where I'm coming from. I love you guys so much. Peace.